Hello guys, welcome back. I'm gonna talk to you about something that occurs with Loki that I think a lot of us don't talk about. Yeah, you've seen it more often, people will be handed to Loki, but what happens when Loki hands you off to another god for at least a while? You guys have known this is coming, and I've known it's coming because Loki gave me a dream a couple years ago of he and Odin handing me back and forth, and I was all curled up. I was either a little fox pup, I thought at the time, or it could have been a wolf pup, I'm not sure. But my eyes were closed and it was teeniest, tiniest little pup, and they were just handing me back and forth, and it was this idea like, we're not gonna drop you, we're not tossing you back and forth, you're fine, we've got this. And I've been having such poor health in that lately. One, because allergy season. I'm gonna be pretty sick for a couple weeks. And two, because I've been resisting the changes because when I finally realized it was truly happening last night, my first thought was, oh my god, the channel. Then my second thought was, oh my god, the patrons. And how could you do this to me? Uh, I was clearly not thinking clearly. The gods have reasons of their own. And Loki's been telling me for a while now, he says, I am handing you off to Odin. Loki's not going to disappear, Loki's not going to die, but it's kind of like he was sticking around as long as he was, one, to make sure the transition happened smoothly, and two, he knew very well it wasn't just going to drop the channel instantly. He's like, okay, we'll play with this channel for a little bit more, but, your channel, he told me years ago he wasn't just going to show up and do something amusing so I'd have a video to make. That's Loki. That's working with Loki. If he thinks the only reason you have a relationship is so you can vlog or make something, he'll be gone. But he's been showing up so he could gradually get me used to the idea that there's not going to be much of any Loki material. And I have been thinking for the last couple of years, I really should change that title of the channel because one, it's way too long, and two, it's really limiting. And I was thinking about it for years because I'm like, this is pretty serious, and what would I change it to? And I wouldn't want, if I could do it all over again, I wouldn't want a god's name in the channel. You have to choose some kind of damn channel name, and at the time that came across as particularly funny. It still makes me smile because he always makes me walk into that joke, but, I'm like, if I could rename the channel something, it would be not Lokean, I know that. You never stop being a Lokean, but if he says, no, you belong to Odin. Though Loki smiled at me very kindly and said, I would not use the term Odinist, at least not in this country. And I was thinking about it, and I'm very happy it's Odin now, but at the same time I was like, well, there goes the channel! And that happens naturally. And I was thinking about it actually this morning. I was like, well, I can't start another channel, especially not for Odin. I know what the vast majority of people that work with Odin are like. I would be eaten alive, and I knew it. I know very well he led me to that wolf in that wolf book by Jim and Jamie Dutcher, because they're both Nat Geo things, and I was in love with Nat Geo as a child for the animals, and I still am. And the more I'm learning about the wolf through this book, and the rich emotional lives and everything they have, the more in a sense I'm learning about Odin. And I even had a dream this morning that was on like a rocky Alaskan coast, and instead of the coastal wolves, the fishing wolves, I had these two huge gray wolves with me. Magnificent gray wolves. I mean, these were huge. These were like dire wolf, even bigger than dire wolf. They were like the island wolves that no longer exist, like at least 4 feet tall. And there were a couple more. I had a sense there were a great many wolves in this pack, but these two main ones were with me. And look, he's in the background like, 2 wolves, wonder which ones those are. Because it takes me forever. I've seen an occasional wolf, and now I'm like, do I have wolf totem? Or has it just been fricking Gary following me around like, Daddy said so? So, I'm like, now I'm confused. And the green light that had been on completely, the light bulb, now it was completely out, and as I'm looking at it, it's like struggling to come back on. And I've been having like a run of bad luck, and I've been getting kind of sick. Part of that is allergy season. Part of that is manifesting. Whenever I start to manifest, I seem to hit a patch of terrible time in my life. It always happens. And part of it's just stressing. And I know I'm stressing because I'm shedding like a cat. And when I stress out over things, it's beyond my control, guys. I can be doing all the meditation and everything else I want in the meantime and think I'm relatively happy. I will just start to shed everywhere. And it's bad. It's like it doesn't fall out in clumps, but it keeps falling out and it's everywhere. And it's like you have a cat. So it's like I know I'm stressed when that starts to happen. When I start to shed like I'm crazy, I know that's it. And it's not poor nutrition or anything. I make sure to eat like a varied diet and that. And I've been eating actually a lot of vegetarian meals and been off my meat. When I get sick like this and I get stressed out, sometimes I go to like a more vegetarian diet because made a beautiful beef stew for us last night. And I don't know if it was the smell of that beef stew, and there was nothing wrong with the beef, or it was being a female, or it was I got these beans out because I read about this camp stew. Long story short, I got these beans at the food bank, okay? And I don't know when I got them, but let me tell you something. If the scent of the spices explodes in your face and the vacuum packed tomatoes are black, unless those are supposed to be oven roasted peppers, they shouldn't be black. I could not get that smell out of my nostrils. It's still in my kitchen. I probably should throw the trash out, but I just started the damn trash. So that had to go out. And it's just, I've been like nauseous and everything else. I'm like, I don't know if it's being female or it's the allergies. And when those both hit you at once, that's lovely. Or it's just the stress of changing gods. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm very extremely happy that Odin's here. And I know it's the right time in my life for me to start working with Odin because I couldn't have worked with him before because the way Odin wishes to work with me has always been in this calm, positive, nurturing manner. He will give me out of control, crazy, spear waving maniac if that's what I truly want and desire, but it's not going to last for long because if you haven't noticed already, Odin tends to get his way because he's the god and you're not. I think we humans have kind of put the cart before the horse and we think, well, I should get to pick out which of your aspects I work with. That's not the way it's going to work. I never had stability in my life growing up in my family, and so Odin was always that sense of calm and stability that would come over me, and like somebody's playing with my hair, and the one that would, protect and guide me. And Loki was there too. Loki's always been there too, but it's not Loki's going to disappear entirely, but he's getting to the point where I know I'm not going to see him for days at a time because he's like, as long as I'm standing here, or you're aware I'm in the vague periphery, you're going to be distracted and not dealing with Odin. I know you because we've worked for many years. And he said, the only way you're going to concentrate on Odin is if Loki's not here. And they've given me a kind of intermediate stage where Loki's been here less and less and less, and then he won't be here for a while. Because he knew that part of why I wasn't working with Odin was I had this huge sense of guilt. Not only was I letting everybody that watched the channel down, but I felt like I was letting Loki down and letting myself down, and how could I like Odin now, and how could I want to be with Odin now? It's just natural. A lot of us transition from one god to another at times in our life. And some gods just unceremoniously dump you with the other god and they walk away and you never see them again. And you can light all the candles you want and go to all the shrines you want and they will not even look at you. We don't understand why this happens. We know the gods love us, so we know it's for some reason. You can still pray to them, you still talk to them, but you usually never get a response, but I always say at least you can still love them. You can still talk to them, even if they're not going to respond. That's on their end. But Loki's been very kind about it, and Odin's been very gentle about it. And most of the other Norse gods are staying away. In fact, I'm getting kind of like a light push from Freyr and Freya that if anything, if I want, I can take their temple and make it into this like experimental place where Odin and I can just go in and play, because we've been pretty good keeping to the 3 different temples, and we put a lake in and everything, so it's a preserve for the wolves. And the one is this healing temple, and the one's the main temple, and they're like, here, take the 4th temple, because I think their amusement with it has run out. And they're like, do that thing you want to do, because I feel an idea for something completely unique is trying to come through, but it hasn't come through yet. I will still be here, guys, but it's probably going to be a lot of Odin content from now on. Loki and I agreed. Loki isn't going to just hang around so I have videos to do and I can mention his name. And Odin is most definitely not the kind of god that's going to put on amusing antics so I have video material. But, you know, we'll still be here. I'll still be doing the VR. There are a lot of beautiful VR experiences we can go into, and I will be talking about Odin for those who are interested. And eventually, when I'm done with the Wolf book, we can talk about that if you want. And I have to accept that Odin's going to take care of me. That if this channel collapses overnight and the Patreon dries up or whatever happens, that Odin's going to find a way to provide for me. And I think it's just why I've been so stressed out, because I do have a very wolf totem personality and fox totem as well, so it's like 2 personalities that kind of, you know, freak out about where's this going to come from and where's that going to come from, and oh my god, why can't I have a stable life? The perfect life for a wolf totem person or fox totem person would be being born into such wealth and luxury that they could never burn through it all. Not that we're bad financially, but that we would never burn through it all, and we would always know there would always be food, and there would maybe even be multiple homes. That would be the best thing for us, but most of us are poured into that. So we can be a very stressed out, crazy people. Jordana Van does this thing on Wolf Totem, and she's one of the few people that does it that actually really looked into it. Though, if she would now read this book, she'd probably change everything she said about Wolf Totem people. We can look like we have it together on the outside and be totally falling apart on the inside. Because, it's just, you know, as wolves have these complex emotional lives, so do wolf people. You tend towards that. It's in your innate nature. And Odin has this incredibly complex nature. It's weird to go from the stereotypical Odin of, say, heathenry or what the normies think he is or whatever, to this, you know, deep and complex god that's, you know, highly emotional and highly sensitive. I'm still at the stage where I have to figure out Odin is not Loki. I cannot tease Odin the way I tease Loki. I cannot talk to Odin the way I talk to Loki. You know how insulting and rude and how much fun Loki and I have together, and how many choice words we use with each other, and how we love to tease and torment each other. Odin is not going to be able to take that. Maybe in his own quiet, dignified way, but not in the same way Loki can. Odin's actually going to get emotionally hurt if you do that to him. It's not his special snowflake, as he feels very deeply, and he tends to take things very seriously. So if you tease him the way you tease Loki, he truly thinks it's you pushing him away. Plus, Odin tends to get that treatment from people. They bring him in because he's super badass Odin. It's kind of like why people want a wolf for a pet. And then when they find out he's more than they can handle, or they find out he's nothing at all like they thought he would be, maybe they want this badass wolf that kill people, and they get this gentle, timid creature that hides all the time, which is what wolves are actually like. And they get rid of him. Or maybe they wanted the opposite. They wanted this giant, cuddly fluff of bunny wolf, and they got a very aggressive, dominant wolf, and it's biting everyone, and it is sure as hell isn't going to listen to you. And it's trying to constantly take over the pack, and chaos erupts. And it just kind of made me think. I was thinking about there was a woman who had a wolf dog years and years ago before YouTube, before they were this popular thing, even though they were popular back then because they proved you were badass and spiritual at the same time. That was the meanest dog, meanest wolf you've ever met. It snarled and snapped at people. That thing hated me. It hated me with a passion, and I never did anything bad to that animal because I love animals, but that son of a bitch hated me. He was so aggressive that if children would be walking by going to school, he once jumped out a second-story window. Now, this was not a story told to you to say, oh, wolf dogs are evil or wolves are evil. No, I love wolves. But they don't belong in a house in the suburbs living with people. They belong out in the wild is where they belong. And she couldn't handle this wolf dog. She thought she could. She thought she knew everything. She thought she was the beastmaster. But what it was, she was a frightened, timid woman, and the animal picked up on her energy and decided, well, I've got to be the aggressive alpha here. I've got to run her life. I mean, this dog will bite her and everything else and will constantly dominate her. And she thought this dog loved her. And I knew dogs backwards and forwards already from growing up with dogs and growing up in a hunting family with tons of dogs around. This dog was pushing this woman around the house. This dog was in control of the household. And that's a terrible life for a wolf. And she expected to get something entirely different, obviously, than she did. I think she eventually gave that wolf dog away, and it eventually got put down because it bit a couple other people. But that wasn't the animal's fault. They're meant to live in a pack, live in the wild. They're not meant to live in your house in the suburbs because they need to be able to roam and hunt and play and sing and be with other wolves. We're not a substitute for wolves. So it's just kind of, I think Odin was having me be reminded of that because that poor dog, that poor animal, you could tell it was miserable. It was not meant to live in a tiny house. It was not meant to try to be forced to be human companionship because that animal obviously wanted nothing to do with humans. And that's actually natural. A wild, healthy wolf will run away from you. And he's like, you're making yourself as miserable as that poor creature was, because he was actually miserable. I actually felt sorry for him because he had no pack around to teach him pack etiquette. He had no stable environment to live in. Anytime he did break loose, and he would actually break her front door down all the time. I mean, he would just blast that door off the hinges. And get out and run and try to see other dogs. People would shoot at him because the wolf was out again. So it was a miserable existence for this poor animal. He didn't have a pack, and ironically, he was in love with our husky shepherd. He would come over and see her, but and she did not return the favor. She was not in love with him. She wanted to bite him in the ass. But he was desperate. He was looking for his pack, and I think Odin's looking for his pack. I'm part of his pack, and we have to get together. And I know that was a lovely story about wolf dogs, but it kind of proves the point. That's actually all too common a fate for the animal. Lived years of misery. Every time it broke out, finally got to run free, people shot at the poor thing. And then it finally died because it bit too many people. And it was not the animal's fault. They're not meant to be in captivity. If you want something dumb and submissive, go get a dog. Dogs aren't stupid, but you know what I mean. They're no match for a wolf. So, if you guys want to stick around, we will still be here, but it's definitely not going to be a Loki thing anymore. And I am going to think about changing that channel name, because I'm like, well, it's not fair to have that name and then have people come in and like, Odin? Why is this called a Lokean channel? There's somebody out there that does that they have Lokean in the name, or they have Loki in the name, and I think they're actually kind of anti-Loki, and they just used it because they knew his name was a popular draw, and I'm like, I'm not going to do that. That's disrespectful for Loki. And I know Loki, he might pop back in for a week later, but you guys let me know what you think. Those 2 or 3 of you that are still watching, let me know what you think of a name change, because I don't want to just use Loki's name. I respect and love him enough, because I'll always be a Lokean in a sense, to draw people in. If this channel was going to take off and be a success, it would have done it a couple years ago. So I'm not worried about that at this point. But I don't want to attract people and then have people pissed off because Lokean's in the title and there's no Loki. If you work with him, you know he can disappear for a very long time. So, if you guys like what you see, like, comment, and subscribe. And I'm gonna think about that name change because I'm like, it's too cumbersome a name. I couldn't believe they let me keep the whole damn name. I thought it would be like, why so serious? And they would cut the rest off. No, they kept the whole damn name. And I'm like, okay. So, I have to think of something else, maybe shortening it to WWS. And people will be like, what the hell does that stand for? Yes, it stands for guess. So, if you guys like what you see, oh my god, I've gone on for 20 minutes. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.